Hello and welcome to Beyond the Slipstream, all you cycling fans out there. I'm Matt. I'm here with my brother Justin. We got a bunch more stuff we want to get into this week, cycling wise and otherwise. And as has been the case here for the past several, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you because your Slipstream prep has been much more extensive than mine. Uh,
Most of it done today. Um, so let's. There was three other like fairly big races this week. So you had the Sparkassen Monsterland Giro, the Coppa Agostani, and the Crow Race. All right, and the Crow Race is typically pretty awesome, and I'm kind of excited to talk about that. So we'll do that one last. The Munsterland Giro ended up a sprint finish with Jasper Philipsen going ahead and taking the win on this one, and you know definitely won it handily. The and it goes to
was Merlier racing in this one by chance?
I don't believe, no. He may have hung it up for the year at this point.
Milan?
I don't know. I'd have to look up the start list. I honestly just watched the highlights on it, and really he was the biggest name that was prominent in it. If you want to look up the start list on it, you can see if there was any other really big hitters in there.
What are your takeaways?
I know. Brennan wasn't there. I just think that Philipsen is. I honestly think he might be the best sprinter right now. I mean, his form is just absolutely ridiculous, and I really think that had we not seen a couple of ill-timed injuries for him, that we would have seen a lot more from him this year. I think that his form has been on pretty much since the beginning of the year, and I just I do. I think he's. I would. I still want to see the Merlier, Philipsen, Brennan trifecta go up against each other. Throw Coy in there too. But I think given all, all things being equal, I think Philipsen takes it no matter what.
Yeah, so that race, your top five was Philipsen, DeLee in second, Pavel Bittner, Jordi Mayus, and Lucas Kubis. And our boy Olav all the way down in 16th in that race.
Yeah.
I don't think Milan or what's his name were in there. Yeah, Philipsen is just an assassin this year.
Now
One has to wonder what would have happened had he not crashed out of
the Tour.
Tour de France.
On the podium, they gave them these giant beers. He did not fare well with the giant beer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No.
Did he? What do you mean? Did he spill it on himself,
no,
or he
just couldn't handle that big of a beer? They were calm. They were comic. They were like boot-sized beers. They were giant. It's worth going back and taking a look at.
I want to see that. That sounds great. All right, what else?
So the Coppa Agostani.
This one I saw.
Okay, you did see this one. So Adam Yates wins it. He went at on a 50K two-man break with Carlos Canal Blanco, and eventually just Carlos Canal had a puncture, and Yates just soloed it the rest of the way.
Yeah, and UAE just blows through 85 wins in the same way that Pog blew through 100. What?
Yeah.
What landmark? Goodbye. I got more wins to get.
I have but it's not over. Okay, so it's not over.
I know it's not over.
So, well, no. It's literally not.
There's numbers that there's a possibility they could win 100 races this year.
Well, because if we go to the Crow race, they took the GC in the Crow race.
Yep.
So it's not there. We're not finished in this segment.
So what are they at? 91?
91 through the 5th.
Crazy.
Yep. So you go to the crow race, and it was the Paul Monier show.
Yeah, clearly. What do you get? Four stage wins?
4 out of 5. The only one he doesn't win is the like the higher, climier stage, which McNulty took.
Right. Crazy.
He took a solo win on that, and again another solo win from UAE. Solo win there, takes the GC, so takes the overall. But Paul Monier ends up winning 4 stages, and in a couple of cases doesn't look like. I mean, their photo finishes. I mean, it ends up that he does end up with a bike, with a tire width or whatever, but. He was like coming out of nowhere on a couple of these finishes. It's worth going back and taking like 25 minutes and watching just the 4 wins from Paul Monier. He's had a very good year.
I saw at least one of them, I think. Yeah, he's slaying.
Yeah. So especially in considering that he's on a team with, arguably one of the top 3 sprinters in the world, like, it's pretty good year for him.
Yeah. He's been there and thereabouts all season long. All right.
So
I feel like Crow Race is a race that, having spent a little bit of time in Croatia in the past, that I really owe it to myself to pay more attention to every year.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful race, and one of these days I will go back and I will hunt down the digital copy of a photograph that I took of a bike race going past me when I was riding in a bus from one town to another in Croatia when I was over there. I distinctly remember them.
If it was the Crow Race.
Coming down the road and making a left turn and going down that way, and our bus was like held right here. We were going down that same road, and we were held right there. And I think on that road there was like a very picturesque, like we were in a town and they were coming through a town, and then as we headed on down that road, we were on like some very picturesque road that was like in this valley, and there was like a big nuclear plant like way off in the distance. And I'll bet you anything, it was because we were going down the same road as that bike race, because they were trying to go down a nice piece of road. I don't even know if the Crow Race was around back then.
Yeah, but it might have been like the Tour of Croatia back then. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what it is. That's actually what it is now. Hold on. Let's find out. This is the 10th, so it's only been around since 2015.
So no, it would have been something else. Was there something before that?
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to look it up on whatever. But let's move on.
All right. That's it as far as what I've digested as far as racing was concerned. I do have a couple of news items, and then I want to get into the point standings.
Gotcha.
All right. So the elite cycling scene is getting a new addition, especially to an American team, as EF has signed young Italian superstar Mattia Aganastaccio. All right. The junior cyclocross world champion. All right. And he is signed now to EF, the American team world, the American World Tour team. And he'll be joining them early this winter for some cyclocross events. It is really, really, really cool that they were able to sign this kid. Vaughters said, so JV said, this kid is incredibly smart. He learned English by watching YouTube and TikTok, and that impressed me.
I love it.
So he also highlighted in this little interview that I read that his father is a policeman, his mother a teacher, and had no experience in professional cycling, but knew how to support their son in a self-taught and passionate way. So
get used to saying it, Matteo Agostinaccio.
Yeah. So I think he is going to be a superstar for that team moving forward. And then a couple of minor signings this week, but the really big one, Ken Udebrooks is going to Movistar. I touched on this in the main show, and I said then, I'll say it again. I'm a little sad to see him leave Visma. I think that he never really reached his full potential there. Not for any fault of either side. I just think that injury and bad form just kind of put him to the side in a lot of cases where I think he could have probably made a difference. And his performance in Giro d'Amelia kind of highlights what I was saying, that I think that kid's got a lot of upside, and I'm sad to see him leave the team that I love so much.
I think there is a interesting symmetry that could possibly play out here. Oda Brooks is a little bit younger than Matteo Jorgensen, and Matteo was on Movistar, where Oda Brooks is headed, and not really reaching his potential, and got into the Visma, juggernaut system, and came to flourish there. I think that Oda Brooks is the kind of guy that could be a rider very much like a Matteo Jorgensen in the right place. Now, as we know, he's going from the lap of luxury to a more, let's say, simple lifestyle.
Is there a world where a Primoz Roglic signs with like a Movistar, and could they ever put that together, you think?
I don't know. I mean, here's what I do know. Here's what I texted my buddy Alan, who shout out Alan, who was texting me today and sent me I believe a 3-word text that simply said Kian to Movistar. That's it. Which is how I found out. It's not like Enrique Mas is going to be winning any Grand Tours anytime soon.
That's what I'm saying.
So you know what? Let Mas move into his Geraint Thomas role for the next couple of years, and get an Oda Brooks in there that can be that up and comer, that has the potential, that maybe had a couple of bad years. Oda Brooks can be looking like can have a Matteo Jorgensen kind of season. Oda Brooks can go out there and crack off a GC win in a stage race this year, maybe 2. You know what I mean? Maybe
like a smaller stage race, like absolutely,
a Tour of Austria, something like that. Maybe Tour de Suisse. Maybe he goes out there and wins a couple of stages. Maybe he gets himself a Grand Tour stage win. Like the possibilities are tantalizing for this guy. And if he's at a team, if he's got the form, he said lack of form is part of his problems here in the past year or two. He appears to have gained some form back. He got a couple of wins here, towards, the latter half of this season. If he can keep that momentum going, power through the transition from a more resource laden team to a more Spartan, style of team, maybe he's the kind of guy that will function well in that environment. Matteo complained about having to provide some of his own, tools and not having the kind of support that he needed. But I'm sure that there are some, other personality types out there that thrive on that are, more lone wolves and don't like being a part of a, micromanaged kind of a system. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, and he could feel like that, he was lost in that type of machine.
Absolutely, exactly, and especially if they make him the focus, with a guy like Moss there to sort of shepherd him through, then maybe there's some magic happening there. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. So would I.
And it would be a kind of an interesting symmetry between Matteo and Kian,
especially if he has success.
Movistar, and absolutely. So, what else? You want to hit those standings?
Yeah. Okay. So, and I am not going to take credit for this being pointed out to me. I actually am biting off of Lantern Rouge's non-recap podcast. They're actually like, their actual podcast. They talked about
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Um,
The monthly show or whatever it is.
yes. So as far as the standings are concerned, I have really only been focusing. I mean, I've been holding in the 19 number, but without realizing that the 19 number really is probably the 18 number, because Intermarché and Lotto are going to join, which means that it is likely that
There's
there's
an extra
an
license.
extra license, okay, which
Yeah.
makes that 19th team all the more important now, because it's likely that that 19th team is going to get that license. So we'll recap it through the end of September, through the 29th. We had XDS Astana in 16th place with a 2,000 point lead over Picnic Post NL, who had a 500-ish, 450-ish point lead over Intermarché, who had a 1,200, 1,300-ish lead over Uno X Mobility. This week, XDS Astana has made another leap up into the 15th spot, pushing Jaco Alua down. They now have a over 100 point lead over Jaco. Jaco's got a 2,000, almost 2,150 or a 2,151 lead over Picnic Post NL, who has almost 600 over Intermarché, and they have now less than 1,000 between them and Uno X Mobility. All right, with the small racing that's left, I could see Uno X taking over Intermarché. All right, I think they could. If I want, I'm going to go back this week, and I'm going to see how much of a gap they've closed in previous few weeks, and see if it really makes sense. So it looks like Uno X ends up getting a pro license, and Cofidis is on the outside, looking in, which is crazy and huge for Uno X. Like, I want that for them so bad.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, Cofidis, I'm pretty indifferent on that team. Um, and yeah, there's plenty of French teams. I love this Norwegian team sneaking in there. They have good vibes. I'm all about it. Here's what I want to say. Never have we been so excited for the Tour of Guangxi.
Right?
That is the beauty of this system, is that this is a great storyline that we get to follow deep into the end of the season, that doesn't specifically have to do with one race or one moment in time. It is a story with a different kind of a timeline, and it's really fun watching it play out.
So now, too, this shakes up. This shakeup is going to lead to the automatic, like, extra bids that go out, and this is going to help. This is going to help Tudor, and it's going to help Q36.5. All right, because now we're very likely to see them getting those, those essentially, the tournament exemptions, the automatic exemptions and put-ins,
Yeah, yeah.
almost automatically, because of where they fall. So, this is this shift and this combining of these two teams is really, really good for the in my opinion, the sport as a whole, because it's going to bring a little more guaranteed competition from these smaller teams. And with, especially, like, if you look at Astana, all right,
This is what I'm wanting to talk about.
if you look at Astana, like, the amount of points they've been able to accumulate this year by focusing on this has been nothing short of astonishing.
Yeah, I
You
want
know,
to shout this team out so badly,
they've worked
because, like,
so hard for this.
let's look at Astana's last 2 years. Last year, Astana entered the year with one goal, one big giant goal, that was a win, a first guy across the line at a bike race, and they got it. They went out there and they got Mark Cavendish that win. That was the only thing on the. I would argue that was the
Yes.
only thing on the agenda last year, and they went out and they freaking did it.
Well, think about this too. Okay.
Wait, I'm not. Let me finish my salute here.
Okay.
And then this year, there's an entirely different goal that is so complex and so it's so not. We have to get this one win. We're going to have a handful of opportunities, and we got to convert on one of them. It's so different. It's like we got to get points. We got to look for every little opportunity here and there. And to be quite honest, we don't care if we ever get even one win. Like, yeah, it'd be nice, but really, we just want our guys finishing high. Just as in his, you know what I'm saying? The disparity between these two goals is astonishing,
Well, and,
and the fact that they went out there and just nailed them both in 2 straight years. My hat's off to you, Astana. I
well,
am so impressed.
and think about the razor thin margin for error that you have on getting Cav that win because you have what
4 opportunities, five
half a
opportunities.
dozen opportunities, yeah, something like that.
Right,
So your whole year is based around 6 shots at the
right.
same thing, and
It's insane,
like that's crazy that
and they did it.
and they did it, absolutely they did it, and then you come out and I would say have acquitted themselves even more, all right, because you know this is not a team with any like giant superstars. I mean, they got some
No,
good riders,
yeah,
but like there's no stars on this team,
no.
and it's like they've been
There's not
able
even
to.
medium stars on this team.
But again, they've come out and put Jaco, who has multiple big names on it, Picnic Postinel, multiple big names on it, Intermarché, multiple, well, one big name
Right,
on it.
right.
Um,
Put him to the sword, man.
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
By
And
just being stealth assassins, by getting seconds and thirds and fourths, just like
riding on
all
the
day
front of
long.
races, just just being in the breakaway,
Right. It's
like
like
they're gobbling
we're
up.
not we're not going to win this giant race, but we're definitely getting fourth.
They have made a absolute game of winning small.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and they're like, you know what? We're going to get fourth, but Intermarché and Uno X, they're no one, none of them are going to do better than 12th.
It'd be
You know,
it'd
we're going
be
to get fourth and seventh,
it'd
and
be
none of them are going to do better than
interesting
12th.
once it's all done and dusted to go back and like see where they were 2 year like starting year 2024, all right, and seeing where they were in the standings in because you can do that on
That's that's
PCS.
your that's your off season
That's my off
project.
season thing. Yeah, that'll be one of that'll we'll take a look at the rise of Astana because again, they're going to be top 15.
Yeah.
They're not just skating in. They're well in.
Well, and who's to say you don't just kind of keep up this tactic as you bide your time for that superstar to come along?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, it
you
has to
take a you
help.
take a realistic look at your roster for 2026, and you say, you know what, we're sticking with this same thing because like we're not going to win. We're not going to win Milan San Remo. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to win
Well,
the Vuelta, and
yeah,
we
but
know it. But we are going to get a shit ton of points
and
in
I
the
bet they give
Vuelta.
them. I bet this gives them more help on budget wise too, being this high in the standings.
Maybe they start chasing team prizes. Like we don't care about the stage wins, but we're going to be the team winner in race after race after race. We're going to have our whole team on the podium at the end of these stage races.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's pretty cool.
It's
It's cool
very
to
cool.
watch. It's interesting
Yes.
to have been following like this, like that,
Well,
like we have. I applaud you for putting that together every week because like it's really provided a lot of fun conversation to
well,
chew on.
and it's also made it fun for me because whenever I see those aqua green jerseys, like I'm rooting for
Yeah,
them, dude.
here
Like
comes
I'm like,
Scaroni, baby.
yeah, I'm like
Come on, Scaroni,
I
you
am
can get third.
constantly going like, oh yeah, here comes that aqua green jersey. Like let's go,
Yep.
and it's been very fun. So it's also been like a neat side story to a otherwise fairly boring year of racing in
Heard
a
that.
lot of ways.
Heard that. We've had plenty to talk about, though. Lord
Absolutely.
knows we've had some fun talking cycling this year. But let's, for the remainder of our sesh here, talk some non-cycling stuff if you care to.
Absolutely.
Don't miss the Team Bus, our weekly podcast about pro cycling, and oh, did I mention pro cycling? We're kind of obsessed. Dropping into your usual podcast feeds every Wednesday.
I think the first one we'll hit, since we both have it on our list, is the premiere of season 51 of Saturday Night Live.
I'm 50-50 on it. I get why they had Bad Bunny host, but I don't know. It's
What is your understanding of why they had Bad
oh,
Bunny
it's
host?
definitely because
Besides the fact that show is just on Bad Bunny's dick for some reason.
Well, so Bad Bunny has been definitely vocal about not wanting to have concerts in the U.S. right now because of everything that's been happening with the Latino community via, Trump and the ICE, situation. Right. Obviously, he is Puerto Rican and just had did a big group of concerts in Puerto Rico, trying to make it somewhat accessible for people to see him live, but also, definitely protesting, what's going on. Obviously, the administration's not a big fan of Latino people right now, and he's not a big fan of them. And
SNL is not a big fan of the administration.
No. So, there was their own little fuck you, putting him on. He's also, don't get me wrong, he's also playing the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's not like that. But, obviously the NFL recognizes the fact that he has 70 million, listens on, Spotify every week. So you can't ignore it. And, the Latino community in the United States is gigantic and getting bigger every year. So, despite the best efforts of, this fascist regime that's taken over our country, you can't ignore it, but it is interesting.
Well, I have to say, like, I was so underwhelmed by the choice of Bad Bunny for the first host, just because, like, I could care less about Bad Bunny. I mean, I'm not into the music. I know a lot of people like it. It does nothing for me. That's my thing. But, like, he's just not that funny, I don't think. And, like, I just feel like this show is totally enamored of this guy. So when I saw it was him, I was like, oh, well. But I was excited to see that Doja Cat was the musical guest, because I think she's got something special, but we'll get into that.
I agree with your note on the Jeopardy sketch. Not funny.
Well, as listeners will know, I am a big fan of SNL. I don't know if I mentioned to you yet or not, but I definitely put in for tickets for this year. You have to go through this elaborate emailing process to do it. I did it, so hopefully, perhaps at some point this year, I might get the call saying, guess what, you get to come to Saturday Night Live. I am part of I follow the Reddit community for SNL, so I'm sort of constantly got it in my news feed, et cetera, et cetera. So this year for season 51, of course, last season was the big 50th, and we did a lot of coverage of the, different programming around the 50th anniversary on this year podcast. So it's season 51 starting off. There's been, as there is just about every year, some big changes to the personnel. The most notables in terms of people leaving are Heidi Gardner and Ego Wodum. Although I think they lost that Darren, what was the guy named Darren, that other black dude that was on there, Devin Walker. I think he's out the door as well. And I thought it was interesting watching the opening that it was basically the same shots and everything as last year. The music was a little bit different. They just dropped the Heidi part and they dropped the Ego part, and the Devin Walker part, and everybody else is gone. The new people that are being brought on, they're all features, so they're all tagged in there at the end. They got rid of Longfellow from the features. They got rid of Longfellow, and they got rid of what's the guy's name? Emil Wakim, I think, the Middle Eastern dude. But they kept Jane Wickline, and they kept Ashley Padilla. And then they added like 5 people. And one of those 5 people
is Cam Patterson. Is that who you're going with?
No, not Cam Patterson. I don't really know anything about that guy, but no, one of the feature players is now one of the guys that was part of the Please Don't Destroy trio, which I think honestly has been one of the best things about the show for the past several seasons is Please Don't Destroy, and I'm kind of mind blown that they've chosen to destroy Please Don't Destroy. So 2 of the guys are just gone, and they kept Ben Marshall. He's the redheaded dude,
right.
And Ben Marshall, and he's not even a full-time
right.
cast member. He's in the featured. I'm like, this dude has been around like entertaining the living shit out of us for years, and
all right, your homework is to research why they left or why they got rid of them.
I've already done that homework. It's just the way of Saturday Night Live. Things change, and it's just like you'll never know the actual answers to why they got rid of people. I mean, Heidi Gardner had been on there for almost a decade.
I think that hurts just moving on. I think her and Ego is just this their time or whatever.
Yeah, and I loved both of them. I thought they were both very funny and had done stuff. Had done some really, really good stuff. Heidi especially had like she had a certain way of like doing the like unhinged like mom that was just brilliant. But nonetheless,
all right. So the one I thought you were going to talk about is Cam Patterson, the guy that did his little bit, his not good bit on
the N-word
about the N-word on Weekend Update.
Yeah.
So you don't know who that guy is.
No, what's his deal?
He is one of these people that's come up through the Austin comedy scene through the mothership. Okay, so he is a Kill Tony guy.
That's what I thought. I almost knew you were going to say that.
He's a Kill Tony guy who went super viral because he likes rocks, and I don't know if you noticed at the end of his little thing, he like pulled a rock out of his pocket and like held up his rock. Because you'll have to watch it. I can't explain it. It's the guy. He's a completely untrained comedian out of Florida. Went there, and
imagine that he wasn't funny.
Here's what I'm going to say. He is very in certain instances he's very funny. All right, I have seen some of his bits. They are very, very funny. He has that raw comedic sense that if it gets refined enough could be very good, and I could very much see this guy being a Tracy Morgan type. All right, and how good Tracy was on SNL. Okay, like this, he has that.
Oh, because they're both black. I get it.
Ouch, that's crazy.
Just kidding. I'm making a joke.
No, but they could very well have. Yeah, but I wouldn't say this. I wouldn't say that this guy has the same thing that Kenan Thompson has. Kenan Thompson's black.
I know.
All right,
I was just making a joke.
But he very well could be your next Tracy Morgan type on the show. So I am excited to see what they do with him. He can't read a cue card to save his life. That's not going to serve him well because he needs a lot of seasoning for sure. But I am interested to see what it is because he's also somebody that has now somehow transcended himself outside of that, bromance scene and made his way onto SNL, which is pretty crazy. But again,
let's see if he can transcend that scene or whatever. I don't want to waste any more time talking about that guy with our limited amount of time that we have left. The Jeopardy sketch that was basically the lead-off sketch for the new season. Not really that funny at all.
It wasn't funny at all. Neither was Chat GPT.
Yeah, I mean, I did think there was one funny line when Ben Marshall was like, "Was Jesus really God?"
Yeah,
he's like, "Jess." I thought that was funny. Very weird how the very you had the lesbian couple sketch like where they were like looking for the sperm donor. It wasn't the sketch was not very funny, and then the very next sketch was same setting, like in a cafe. It was the same 2 women, like the same 2 actors. It was Sarah and Chloe in a restaurant sitting at a table. I'm like, is that just weird? Like what? I mean, it was a different kind of a sketch. That was the one where.
By the way, it could have the sperm one could have been funny if they would have actually like let him be, instead of having him Bad Bunny be corny, have them like have him be like sexy, and then be like, oh wait, we were gonna choose you, but we could choose this guy. And
Yeah,
they
I mean,
went the
yeah,
other way with it,
it's
which
not
didn't make
funny.
sense, where it was just like some creepy guy being like, and then the whole thing with Keenan, like I don't know, man, that sketch was
Yeah,
all over the place.
and then they had the K-pop Demon Hunter sketch, and it was like in a restaurant as well, and that one also just wasn't
Well, and
very funny.
that one felt, that was the we want to shoehorn in something popular sketch.
Yeah, and it's actually funny it came up because my daughter Lily last night literally made a Google Slides presentation to try to convince us to take her to Comic-Con in New York on Thursday. Um, because she wants to see the chicks that sing in K-pop Demon Hunters, and I'm like, they're in New York right now. They did SNL. They're going to be at the Comic-Con. Very interesting. But Bad Bunny is just not funny. However, who is awesome is Doja Cat. That first thing that she did was, I think, the better of the two, but she is kind of a triple threat. She can rap, she can sing, she can dance, she writes her own stuff.
Visually,
I,
it was really good too.
she is just a whole lot of interesting, and I'm here for it. Update was just kind of the same old, same old. I
Yeah,
thought the standout joke on Update was the President Trump would make more sense if he sounded like Jennifer Coolidge bit.
that was pretty good.
That was pretty funny. Um, I loved Michael Che's joke when he said he was shocked and saddened that a guy named Keith Urban isn't black. The Benicio del Toro in the Origins of Spanish sketch, the cameo was just not funny. Like that whole sketch was just dumb. Um,
Again, I think it speaks to the whole show being revolved around kind of a theme, and
yeah,
the theme to me was not the theme that they wanted us to do. The theme was not funny.
yeah,
The theme of the show is we're not going to be funny tonight.
yeah, exactly. And the final sketch could not have illustrated that point more. That sketch with it was like the Spanish children's TV show or whatever. That was just the dumbest thing I've ever
It was
seen in my
bizarre.
life. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was
It was so
bizarre.
horrible. So yeah, Saturday Night Live, you're not off to a great start this year. Here, let's hope for better things. Anything else we want to shoehorn in here?
No, I rewatched Sleepy Hollow by Tim
And I
Burton.
and I rewatched Batman Returns by Tim Burton.
Ooh, interesting.
I'll see your Sleepy
Um,
Hollow and raise you a Batman Returns.
walking. We are walking with walk-ins together.
Wow,
Oh
it's
my!
crazy. Um,
He was the headless horse hunter in.
Horse Hunter.
Um,
Wow, he was also Max Shrek.
he I mean, visually this movie is really good. The cast is what blew me away about it. Obviously Depp and Ricci are your main characters, but this also had Michael Gambon, Miranda Richardson, Mr. Rooney from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Jeffrey Jones,
Rooney.
um, Ian McDermott, Emperor Palpatine himself, again, walk in, Christopher Lee, Alan Armstrong,
Good
and
lord.
Vernon Dursley, Richard Griffiths, all in the cast, all like prominently in this
A
cast.
veritable who's who of character actors.
Yeah. So really, really, fun to go back and rewatch and remember how goddamn good Tim Burton is, because holy moly, that guy can
So good.
make
So
a damn
good.
movie. That's for
Same
sure.
could be said for Batman Returns and especially Pfeiffer's performance.
Oh,
I want to
so
spend the
good.
last 60 seconds just mentioning briefly the thing that kind of hit me the hardest of everything this week, which was a documentary directed by Andres Valle. It is called Riefenstahl, and it is about the filmmaker Leni Riefenstahl. She is the woman who shot Triumph of the Will and Olympia, the two propaganda films that everyone has seared into their brains, at least the imagery of. When you think of like Hitler and the two other guys walking down the middle of the aisle at the Nuremberg rally in like 38 or whatever, that those iconic like whatever, she's the one that shot that. This is a documentary about what happened to this woman and the rest of her life, and needless to say, it is fascinating. It's called Reifenstahl. Seek it out. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next week for another ride beyond the slipstream. Ale.
Ale.
Beyond the Slipstream is a companion to the Team Bus and is produced by Harperama. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, and tell your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Ale!